I was a 34-year-old overnight security guard at St. Mary's Hospital. This happened a few months ago during my night shifts. I took the job to pay off my student loans while waiting to become a paramedic. The hospital was old, built in the 1950s. It was quiet and empty at night, like a ghost town. I thought it would be easy. Just check locks and sip coffee. But I never stopped thinking about what happened. On my first night, I walked down a dimly lit hallway. The lights flickered over me like they were alive. I thought maybe it was just the wiring, nothing to worry about. Then I heard a child's laughter echoing through the halls. It sent chills down my spine. I shook my head, telling myself I was just tired. Working nights does that to a person. Weeks passed, and I felt drawn to the pediatric wing. There was something different about it. One night, I noticed shadows moving past doorways. I blinked, and they disappeared. I thought maybe I was imagining things again. But whispers followed. They sounded like children calling my name Jake. It was soft and melodic. I froze, feeling my heart race. I didn't know what to think. Then I discovered the toybox. It was hidden in a corner, covered in dust. I opened the lid, and it creaked. Inside were old toys, stuffed animals, a broken truck, dusty dolls. I picked up a teddy bear, and it felt cold in my hands. A shiver ran down my back. Was I really alone? One night, I heard footsteps. They were faint at first. I stepped out of the security office, my heart pounding. I looked around, but there was nobody. The hallway was empty and quiet. Then the laughter rang out again, clearer this time. I called, "Is anyone there?" No answer. Just silence. I felt something brush against me. Maybe it was my imagination. I started questioning everything. Were the voices real? Were they spirits stuck in the hospital, or was I losing my mind? The laughter got more frequent, echoing through the halls. The whispers taunted me. I felt so lost, gripping onto sanity as I tried to understand the strange happenings. On my last shift, I stood by the pediatric wing, my heart heavy. I felt a sudden urge to turn around. That's when I heard a gentle voice behind me. "Jake, come play." I spun around, but nobody was there. I took a step back. My breath caught in my throat. I stood frozen, and a sense of dread washed over me. I wanted to run, but my curiosity held me in place. The laughter echoed again, filling the empty hospital. I felt eyes watching me, waiting for me to decide. I turned around, but the hallway stretched out like a void. The voice came again, soft and clear. "Jake." That's how it ended, uncertainty hanging in the air. I couldn't shake the feeling I had left something behind, something that would always haunt me. The next night was different. I returned to St. Mary's Hospital, palms sweaty with an uneasy anticipation. I tried to shake it off, but the laughter lingered in my mind. The same dark hallways awaited me, twinkling under the artificial light. I told myself it was just another shift, nothing would happen. But deep down, I knew that wasn't true. As I made my rounds, I decided to check the pediatric wing first. It felt like a magnet pulling me in. The silence hit me as soon as I opened the door. The toys lay untouched, still in their dusty corners. I squinted, half expecting to see the shadows dance again. They didn't, but the air felt different. Heavier. Thick with tension. I grabbed the flashlight from my belt and aimed it at the toybox. That's when I noticed something unusual, a small, bright red ball lying near the bear. I was sure it hadn't been there before. My heart raced. I leaned closer, half expecting it to roll away as if beckoning me to come closer. "No," I muttered to myself. "I'm not falling for that." I turned to leave, but the laughter returned. It echoed in the stillness, sweet and innocent. "Jake, come play." My pulse quickened. I stepped back, trying to convince myself it was just a trick of the mind. But somewhere deep inside, I felt a pull toward the laughter. "Who's there?" I shouted, my voice breaking the eerie silence. No answer. Just the faint sound of my own breathing. I stepped toward the source of the laughter, feeling the air grow colder. The lights flickered again, and I felt something tug at the back of my shirt. I whipped around, convinced someone was playing a cruel joke. But the hallway was empty. The laughter faded into whispers. "Jake," I felt my stomach drop. The voice was right behind me. I turned back, facing the darkness. "Show yourself," I yelled, my voice echoing off the sterile walls. I felt raw panic rising in me as the laughter morphed into a symphony of giggles, growing louder and more chaotic. In a frenzy of fear, I stumbled backward. My heel kicked the toy box, and it tipped over. Toys spilled across the floor. I could barely breathe. I had to leave, but something stopped me. I needed to understand. I crouched down and picked up the red ball, feeling its smooth surface against my palm. Then everything went dark. The lights flickered out completely. I cursed under my breath as I felt for the flashlight. It was gone. I was engulfed in blackness, the faint sounds of laughter now replaced by an unsettling silence. Panic clawed at me. I tried to recall the layout of the pediatric wing, but it all felt foreign in the dark. Suddenly, I heard footsteps. Not faint this time, they were nearing. I held my breath, my heart racing. "Show yourself," I cried, but my voice trembled. A soft giggle echoed through the darkness. I swallowed hard. Something was very wrong. I felt a cold breeze, like fingers brushing against my neck. I spun around, desperately searching for any sign of light, any sign of hope. "Jake," it was the voice again, the soft whisper now dripping with something darker. I felt the urge to run, but I was rooted in place. I was at the mercy of whatever was lurking in the shadows. Then I caught a glimpse of fleeting shape. I blinked, and it was gone. But its presence still lingered, and now I understood. I was not alone in this hospital. Not by a long shot. I had to find the light. And fast. I forced myself to move, my instincts screaming at me to escape. But I was drawn to the faint sound of whispering, guiding me deeper into the shadows. I stumbled forward, heart racing with every cautious step. The area was disorienting in the dark. I strained my eyes for anything familiar, any hint of light to guide me. As I groped along the wall, I noticed a light spilling from underneath a door at the end of the hallway. Relief washed over me. I made a beeline for it, practically lunging toward the glow. Just as I reached for the doorknob, I heard the laughter again, closer this time, almost mocking me. "Jake, come play," it sang. Gripping the knob tight, I hesitated. What if I opened the door and found something terrible? I couldn't stop my mind from racing. The idea of turning back was even worse. With a deep breath, I twisted the knob and pushed the door open. The room was filled with soft, flickering light. It was the playroom, the memories of children rushing back, the joy, the laughter. But the atmosphere was different now. The toys that once delighted were now eerily positioned, facing one point in the room. The red ball was there too, resting right in the center of a haphazard circle of toys. I stepped in, blinking at the surreal sight. The laughter faded, replaced by a disorienting silence that pressed in on me. Just as I was about to turn back, a rush of cold air swept through the room, and I spotted movement, a shadow darting from one edge of the wall to another. "Who's there?" I called, this time much weaker. I felt foolish, knowing no one was supposed to be here. But my curiosity outweighed my fear. I took a step forward, and the toys seemed to shift, as if they were alive, urging me to come closer. That's when I saw it, a small hand, barely visible, peeking from behind a stack of shelves. My breath hitched. Moments passed, and the hand remained still. I wanted to run, but something held me there, rooted to the ground. "Jake," the voice whispered again, clearer now. My gut told me to turn away and run. I slowly backed up, trying to squint through the shadows. Whatever I'd hoped to see didn't feel safe. Just as I turned, a little figure stepped into the light from behind the shelf. It was a girl, no older than 5, with big, dark eyes that seemed to pierce through me. "Why won't you play with me, Jake?" she asked, her voice sweet yet haunting. "I'm not Jake," I stammered, panic swelling inside. "I need to go." She giggled, and that laughter sliced into me like a knife. Something was deeply wrong. I dashed back toward the door, but it clicked shut before I reached it. I yanked on the handle, but panic flooded my system. I was trapped. "Stay and play," she said, her tone turning playful, but her gaze darkened. In that moment, the room's atmosphere shifted, shadows swirling around me. I felt the walls closing in, echoing with laughter but now tinged with a sense of despair. I turned to face her one last time. "Let me out," I yelled, my voice shaky. "Jake doesn't leave," she whispered, and the darkness thickened, engulfing me completely. Desperate for an escape, I raised my fist against the door, ready to pound it down. But then I remembered the windows. Behind me, through the dim light, I could see them small, cracked, but open. In that instant, a new urgency surged through me. I had to break free before whatever this was consumed me. I sprinted toward the window, heart pounding in my chest, desperate to escape whatever fate awaited me in that room. I lunged for the window, nearly tripping over the toys that seemed to move just out of my reach. My fingers grasped the edge of the broken frame, splinters biting into my palms as I shoved it open, the faintest hint of cool air brushing against my skin. Freedom was so close. Just as I began to climb through, I heard a sudden crash behind me. I froze, adrenaline flooding my veins once more. The shelves, once standing quiet and still, had shifted. The little girl stood in the circle of toys, her expression now twisted in mock surprise, and the shadows danced around her as if alive, almost playful. "Where are you going, Jake?" she asked, her voice low and threatening. I shook my head and pushed harder against the window, desperate to escape. I could see the ground far below, the grass illuminated by the sickly glow of streetlights outside. I needed to jump. I was almost there, just a little further. But the moment I took a breath to prepare for the leap, I felt a cold grip tighten around my ankle. The girl was no longer a few feet away. She had moved closer. "You said you would play." Her eyes darkened further, becoming bottomless voids that pulled at my sanity. I kicked at her hand, but it was like trying to shake off a shadow. The laughter returned, echoing around me and shattering my resolve. I felt the weight of the room pushing in, suffocating. With a burst of strength, I yanked my leg free and launched myself through the window. I landed hard on the grass, pain blooming in my legs, but I didn't stop. I rolled over and scrambled to my feet, my heart racing. I had to run. Had to get away from her. I glimpsed back at the playroom window just in time to see the girl staring at me, her head canted to the side as though she found my escape amusing. Then she smiled, a smile that sent chills racing down my spine. "Jake can't escape," she called out, her voice slicing through the night air. I turned, sprinting across the yard, the grass slick beneath my shoes, and headed for the front of the house. Behind me, I swore I could hear her footsteps, smaller and quicker, echoing my every move. The streetlights flickered as I made it to the road, my lungs burning and legs screaming for me to stop. I had to find someone who would believe me. I needed to tell them what I had just experienced. But as I ran, I stumbled over something on the pavement, a forgotten toy from the yard, a faded red ball. I could have sworn it was the very same one I'd seen in the playroom. I scrambled back to my feet, and as I did, the laughter returned, distorted and overlapping, clawing at my mind. Out of nowhere, I was slammed by a strong gust of wind, knocking me to the ground. I struggled to stand, disoriented, when a shadow loomed over me. Panic surged as I looked up to see the girl standing there, her dark eyes glinting with mischief, a haunting laugh escaping her lips. "Playtime isn't over yet, Jake. You can't leave me." My heart sank into my stomach. I scrambled back, but the world around me started to dissolve into darkness again. I could feel the cold creeping in, wrapping around me like a blanket. I thought I had escaped, but it was just the beginning. Just then, I heard footsteps approaching from the shadows, heavy and insistent. I felt the heaviness in the air shift again, and I realized I wasn't alone anymore. I shook my head, trying to clear the fog rolling in. The girl didn't stand alone anymore. Figures emerged from the shadows, their shapes twisting in the gloom. They looked like kids, but not quite. Their movements were jerky, like broken marionettes. They had the same dark eyes as the girl, void of warmth. "Jake, you're it!" one of the boys shouted, his voice a raspy echo. I felt something snap inside me. I turned to run, but the pavement felt like it was shifting beneath me. Each step felt heavier, like the ground was geared to drag me down. I glanced back, and they were closer, their smiles too wide, teeth glinting like knives. "You can't run. You have to play." The girl's voice cut through the air, sharpening my panic. I pushed myself harder, desperation clawing at my throat as I rounded the corner. I needed to find safety. I spotted a house up ahead, lights flickering inside. That had to be my refuge. I charged toward it, ignoring the protests from my legs. But as I approached the door, it swung open. A tall figure stood in the entryway, silhouetted against the warm light inside. "Jake?" My name was a gentle whisper, a stark contrast to the chaos surrounding me. It brought me to a halt. Who are you?" I stammered, my heart racing. "It's okay. I'm here to help you." The figure moved closer, and I could see a woman, older, with a concerned look. "You shouldn't have run. They're not what they seem." "Who?" "The kids. They're trying to get me." I felt the ground tremble beneath me again, and the girl's laughter echoed in my ears, more chaotic now. "Come inside, Jake. You're in danger." The woman extended a hand. The shadows loomed behind me, and I could hear their footsteps again, slithering closer. Every instinct screamed at me to trust her, yet, the darkness still felt alive. "No!" I yelled, throwing myself sideways just as I heard a sinister giggle behind me. I sprinted past the woman and dashed into the street. Suddenly, a barrier of unseen force hit me like a wall. I stumbled back, my breath hitched. Nothing was there, yet I felt a pressure that pinned me in place. I turned around, and that's when I saw it. The girl was standing there, her shadowy companions forming a ring around me. "You can't escape, Jake. You belong with us." I felt the weight of hundreds of eerie eyes surrounding me, watching, waiting. Something collided with my chest, a memory, a voice. "You have to play, Jake." I felt dizzy. The laughter crescendoed as the world spun. I grabbed my head, trying to ward off the voices, panic settling in my stomach. This wasn't just a game. "What do you want from me?" I shouted, desperation seeping into my voice. "We want you to stay." The girl stepped closer, the air growing colder. "Just play forever. It'll be fun." I could see the madness glimmering in her eyes. I realized then that escape wasn't just running away. I had to confront this. I had to face them. Everything spun again before going dark. A strange calm washed over me. I took a deep breath, ready to fight, ready to win back my freedom. But first, I had to understand what they needed. I had to find the truth behind their game. And just as I started to grasp it, the darkness lifted to reveal something that made my blood run cold. They were not alone. Other figures emerged, faces gleaming with malicious glee, and they were all looking at me. I stumbled back, my breath quickening. The shadows danced, revealing more twisted faces, each one grinning like they knew secrets I didn't tell. Their laughter filled the air, a disorienting chorus that felt like a trap tightening around me. "Join us, Jake," the girl called, her voice bright but unnerving. "We just want to play." I glanced around, looking for any chance to escape. The street felt impossibly narrow, the houses on either side towering like silent giants. The lights from the house where I sought refuge flickered and dimmed, almost urging me to come back inside. But with each step I took, they mirrored my movements, a terrifying synchronization that pushed me closer to panic. "Stay away from me," I shouted, my voice fierce despite the fear clawing at my throat. But my words only fueled their excitement. The children responded with twisted giggles, a symphony of overwhelming sound that made it hard to think. Then, I saw something that made my skin crawl. One of the figures shifted forward, closer than the others. It was too familiar. It was a boy I knew from school, Jason, someone I used to play with at recess. But his eyes were black now, swirling like voids that threatened to swallow everything around him. "Jake, we miss you. Come play," he shouted, his voice echoing eerily. "Jason. What happened to you?" I asked, dread spilling into my veins. I wouldn't have recognized him if it weren't for the too bright smile that stretched across his face. "He's one of us now," the girl chimed, spinning in a small circle. "Join us, Jake. You can have so much fun." My mind raced. I remembered tales of kids disappearing in our town, stories that faded into whispers as years passed. Jason had vanished weeks ago. "Is this where you've been?" I didn't wait for an answer. It wasn't just about playing anymore, it felt like something sinister was weaving around me. I want to join you," I yelled, my voice trembling. The laughter echoed louder. Suddenly, a gust of wind whipped around me, chilly and sharp. I turned to run, my feet pounding against the pavement as I dodged their outstretched arms. But it was like running through molasses. The world blurred, and dread hung thick in the air. As I neared the end of the street, I spotted an alleyway leading to another block. I darted into it, heart hammering. For a moment, it felt like I'd lost them. I pressed my back against a cold wall, trying to catch my breath, but the laughter followed me, haunting my thoughts. Then, something rustled beside me. I turned, ready to defend myself, and nearly screamed. A figure hunched in the shadows, not a child but a man, straddling the line between familiarity and fear. "Jake." His voice was low and gravelly. "You shouldn't have come here." My gut twisted. "Who are you?" "Someone who knows the truth. They're not just playing. They're hungry." His gaze flicked behind me, urging me to run again. Everything inside me screamed to get away, but curiosity pulled me closer. "Hungry for what?" I caught a glint of something sharp in his hand, and it all spiraled back. Suddenly, a shrill cry rang out from the alleyway's entrance. The girl emerged with her friends, and I knew I was trapped. I had to get out, but as they closed in, shadows surged around me. The man's warning echoed in my ears, and the finality of their presence loomed heavy. The trap was set, and I was the prize. I couldn't move. Panic surged through me, heavy like stone. The man shot me a look of desperation. "Run, Jake. They want you." But I hesitated. I didn't want to turn my back on those twisted faces. I could feel their eyes burning into me, hungry and expectant. The laughter kept echoing off the alley walls, wrapping around me like a suffocating blanket. "Who are you?" I implored the man again, desperate for something solid in all this chaos. "Doesn't matter," he grunted, stepping closer. "What matters is that you don't end up like the others." He pointed toward the children, now shifting in their stance, their smiles widening in eerie unison. "They've taken too many already. You're next if you don't move." Something clicked inside me. I realized he wasn't just some random passerby, he was warning me as if he had witnessed this nightmare unfold before. The thought terrified me more than the children's twisted grins. Before I could decide, the girl lunged forward, her laughter transforming into a shrill scream. "Jake! Come play with us." I finally took his advice to heart. I bolted from the shadows. My heart raced as I ran deeper into the alley, trying to put distance between me and the nightmare closing in behind me. The sounds of their pursuit grew louder, baying like wolves hungry for their prey. I burst into the next street, looking for a place to hide. The night felt alive around me, alive and dark. I zigzagged between parked cars, my breath coming in ragged gasps. Suddenly, I spotted a streetlight flickering ahead. It was weak, struggling to stay lit, but it felt like a beacon of hope. As I neared it, I quickly glanced back. The alley was quiet now, but I knew I couldn't let my guard down. I stepped into the pool of light, hoping it would shield me. That's when I saw it, something not quite right looming in the shadows of the flickering light. A figure, standing still, watching. The faint outline shifted, and I felt my stomach twist. "Jake?" It was a voice I recognized, yet it was strained, a whisper from somewhere dark. I squinted, trying to make out the face. "Emily?" I asked, dread pooling in my stomach. "What are you doing here?" "I was looking for you." Her eyes darted from me to the shadows behind me, then back. "They're coming, Jake. They're always coming." "Who?" I demanded, my heart skipping a beat. I wanted to believe she had answers, but the way her face paled sent another wave of fear coursing through me. "Those kids, they don't just play. You have to leave this place. It's not safe." Before I could respond, I caught movement from the end of the street. The children were filtering out of the alley now, their eyes gleaming with that same unfathomable hunger. "Jake! You have to go," Emily urged, grabbing my arm as the corrupted laughter started up again. I jerked away from her grip. "What are you talking about? You can't stay here." She shook her head furiously. "I won't let them take you. I can't lose you again." But as the children advanced, I realized I'd be the one who'd have to make that escape, even if it meant leaving her behind. Just then, the ground opened up beneath me, and darkness swirled in a void that pulled me toward it. Then everything went dark. I gasped as I tumbled into the darkness. My stomach dropped as if I were falling through an endless void. I braced myself for a hard landing, but instead, I felt a strange, soft surface beneath me. It was unsettling, like I had landed on something barely tangible. As I gathered my bearings, I noticed a faint light ahead. It pulsed gently, casting eerie shadows on the walls of what appeared to be a narrow tunnel. I pushed myself up, brushing off the dirt. Something shifted in the air, weighty and charged. "Emily?" I called out, my voice echoing, swallowed by the gloom. No answer came. A wave of helplessness washed over me. Had I really left her behind? I stumbled forward, the floor slick beneath my shoes. Each step felt drawn out, as if I were moving underwater. As I approached the light, I saw flickers of movement spiraling around the edges, dark shapes writhing in the shadows. That was when I realized I wasn't alone. A trembling figure leaned against the wall, back turned to me. My heart jumped. I stepped closer, my pulse racing. "Hello?" I ventured cautiously. The figure turned slowly, and I was met with familiar, yet haunting eyes. It was my brother, Chris. But his face looked hollow, stripped of warmth. He opened his mouth, yet no words came out. Just a rasping noise, growing more desperate. "Chris?" I uttered, stepping closer. "What happened? Where are we?" He reached out, and I could see his hand was trembling. A thin, crooked finger pointed down the tunnel. A chill crept through me as I followed his gesture. The light's glow intensified, and I could hear whispers laced within the shadows. Suddenly, the whispers grew louder, coiling around me like vines. I dashed forward, away from Chris, the fear pounding in my chest. My instincts screamed at me to run. The tunnel warped and twisted, leading me away from him and the spectral calls. As I rounded a corner, I collided with something solid. I stumbled back, heart racing. It was a mirror, tall and cracked, standing in the middle of the passage. In its reflective surface, I saw not only myself but the shadows lurking behind me, closing in. I recoiled as the children emerged, forming a glimmering wall of eyes and smiles. They were impossibly close now, their laughter piercing through the dim light with malicious joy. "Play with us, Jake." They sang in unison, each voice distinct yet strangely synchronized. I spun around, desperate for any sign of an escape. The whispers grew louder, a confusing chorus now blending with the children's shrieks. I felt the air thicken around me, tightening like a vice. Just then, Chris's voice cut through the noise. "Jake, don't look at them. You have to, but I couldn't hear the rest." A flash of light erupted, blinding me briefly. I stumbled back, losing my footing, and fell into the darkness once more. With a rush, the whispering ceased, replaced by an overwhelming silence. I landed hard this time, the ground firm beneath me. I scrambled to my feet, breathing heavily. I looked around, disoriented. I was no longer in the tunnel. Instead, I found myself in a wide room, filled with forgotten hospital equipment. The heavy scent of antiseptic hung in the air. I had no idea how I had gotten here. The walls were lined with gurneys, and faint voices echoed in the distance. "I have to find Emily," I muttered to myself, fear clawing at my insides. I needed answers, and I had to learn what was happening here, before it was too late. That's when I saw shadows shifting again, moving toward me. I braced myself for whatever might come next. I felt a chill creep up my spine as the shadows danced closer, but I stood my ground. They elongated and twisted, shaping into indistinct forms that seemed to flicker with each heartbeat. My instinct was to run, but I was paralyzed, caught in the lure of the uncertainty around me. "Emily!" I shouted, trying to pierce the oppressive silence. My voice echoed again, swallowed by the looming uncertainty. The shadows collapsed, and for a split second, I thought I saw a flicker of movement in the corner of the room. My gaze darted toward the sound, a heavy, fabric-like rustling. I spun around, scanning the space. In the dim light, I could barely make out a figure sitting on one of the gurneys, head lowered and shrouded in dark clothing. "Who's there?" I asked, stealing my voice. The figure didn't respond at first. My heart began to sink as the silence stretched, thickening the air around me. The shadows swirled, making it hard to focus. Just as I was about to turn away, the figure lifted its head slowly. It was a girl, her face pale and ethereal. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. Her voice was soft, like a breeze, but there was an edge to it, an urgency beneath the calm. "Please, I'm looking for my sister, Emily. Have you seen her?" I pushed desperately, hoping for an answer. The girl shook her head, her dark hair cascading around her shoulders. "No one who comes here ever leaves." The words slithered through the shadows, wrapping around me like cold fingers. Suddenly, the harsh hum of fluorescent lights flickered to life above us. The sudden brightness made me squint, and the shadows shrank back for a moment, revealing more of the room. I could see more gurneys, discarded equipment, and walls lined with peeling paint. "Why are you here?" the girl pressed, stepping closer. Her eyes were wide, filled with something between fear and pity. "I don't know. I fell, and then I just want to find Emily." I could hear my own voice tremble. She studied me, as if searching for something in my expressions. "The shadows will take you, too," she warned. "You need to go before they come back." A wave of comprehension washed over me. I wasn't safe here. This place had its own rules, dark, unforgiving, and hungry. I had to get out before whatever lurked in the shadows claimed me. "Do you have a way out?" I asked, desperation leaking into my voice. She turned and pointed toward a narrow door at the far end of the room. "That's your only chance. But hurry." I didn't wait for another word. My heart raced as I sprinted toward the door, the shadows buzzing at my heels, the girl's warning ringing in my ears. Just as I reached for the handle, the air shifted again, thickened with dread. A loud crash echoed behind me. I spun around to see the girl's figure becoming indistinct, the shadows enveloping her like smoke. "Run!" she screamed, but it was too late. Without a second thought, I yanked the door open and stumbled into the hallway beyond. A sense of urgency propelled me forward. The whispers returned, roaring in my ears like a storm. I sensed something sinister closing in. I couldn't look back. I had to keep moving, racing against whatever darkness was hunting me. But just as I dared to hope I might find safety, I heard a soft giggle echo down the hall. My breath caught in my throat. It sounded like the laughter of children. And then I realized I wasn't alone after all. I bolted down the corridor, my breath coming in panicked bursts. The laughter echoed like a twisted melody, its joyful sound now laced with malice. The flickering lights above me cast erratic shadows, and I prayed they wouldn't give way to the thick darkness that had haunted me so far. "Jake!" The whisper came again, lighter this time but laced with a sinister cadence. It felt less like a call and more like a command. I had to move faster. I couldn't let them catch me. I darted left into another hallway, desperately searching for an exit. Each door I passed was locked or led to nowhere. It felt like I was running in circles, trapped. Then, suddenly, an exit sign flickered into view at the end of the passage. Light! Hope sparked inside me, propelling my tired legs forward. The laughter grew louder, more chaotic, as I neared the door. "Come play with us, Jake," they teased. Their excited voices tangled together, making it sound like a song from a nightmare. I reached the door, yanked it open, and was met with cool night air rushing against my face, filling my lungs with the freshness of freedom. I stumbled out into the back lot of St. Mary's Hospital. I glanced back at the door I had just escaped, half expecting to see the little girl's face peering through the glass, a wicked smile plastered across her features. But the air was still, eerily calm. I ran to my car, yanking the door open and scrambling inside. My heart thumped in my chest as I fumbled with the keys, trying to steady my hands long enough to start the engine. Behind me, I thought I heard faint giggles echoing across the lot, but I didn't look back. I couldn't. I slammed the car into gear and sped out of the lot, the adrenaline coursing through my veins. As the streets blurred past me, I fought the urge to tear down my rearview mirror. I could almost feel their eyes on me, watching the way I fled, calculating when they'd take their next turn in this game. My hands shook on the steering wheel, raw panic mingling with relief. I was free of the hospital at least for now, but questions lingered, dark and unsettling. What had I escaped? Were the children's spirits, trapped in that wretched place, forever seeking playmates? Or was it something more sinister, a twisted reflection of innocence corrupted by the shadows they represented? Was I just one more name added to their list, one more player in their eternal game? I arrived home, parked haphazardly in the drive, and stumbled inside. But the moment I closed the door, a sudden chill swept through the air, and I froze. I turned slowly, half expecting to see a figure standing in my hall, waiting. But it was empty. Just the noise of my ragged breathing. Yet, I still heard the laughter. It was faint, like a distant melody carried by the wind, trickling in through my thin walls. I sank to the floor, head in my hands, replaying every moment, every chilling echo, wondering how such innocence could turn so dark. As I lay there, curled up against the cool floor, I couldn't shake the feeling that this wouldn't be the end. The shadows had stared into my soul, revealing something that was both alluring and horrifying. I knew I wouldn't be able to ignore what happened in that hospital, nor could I ever go back. I moved to a different city days later, tossing aside my security job and my dreams of becoming a paramedic. Sometimes, when the wind howled just right, I still thought I could hear whispers dialing back to the laughter of a forgotten childhood, "Jake, come play." But mostly, I tried not to think about it. I had escaped St. Mary's Hospital, but the echo of what happened there lingered, a shadow that would follow me for a long time to come.